Good morning, everybody. We are now live. Welcome to the pre-market overview, July 17th, Friday, July 17th, 2020. Happy Friday to you all. Hopefully you've had a good market. Good week in the markets, or a good market in the week, if you want to say it that way. So my name is Becky. If you need me for anything, if you have questions about what I covered today, you can email me, becky@tradewithufos.com, or I would suggest probably in more cases, it would be directed to the support team, support@tradewithufos.com, simply because they're quicker at responding. So if you need anything, obviously email those guys. Okay, so I'm just going to explain very briefly what the pre-market overview is, what we're going to go through. So the main point is that we're going through our newsletter. Our newsletter is sent out every day. If you're not already part of the subscription, you can email us newsletter@tradewithufos.com. So the document that I go through today will be one that you have access to, obviously the updated version every day. In that newsletter, we go through 4 of the major markets and we talk about multiple components as to their movement and what we expect in them. And then normally it will be me that will explain for 15-20 minutes in the morning what we mean by the overview and just explain certain concepts for those that want a little bit more understanding of it. Okay, so that's what we're going to go through today. Just as a quick reminder, today being a Friday, we have futures at 1 p.m. Eastern and options at 9 a.m. Eastern. Over the weekend, we'll have the sharpening sessions, Saturday and Sunday. These are going to be reinforcing concepts as well as psychology sessions as well, which are extremely important. And Tuesdays and Thursdays, most weeks, we'll have stocks and investing at 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern, respectively. So just a quick reminder, we have a class starting tomorrow. That's the back testing class. That will be me taking it this weekend. So it's tomorrow and Sunday, July 18th to 19th, 3 hours a day. Starts at 2 p.m. Eastern. Next classes we have after that will be futures the following week. It starts the following Friday, I believe. No, I've done that wrong. Might be the Friday. Then we have stocks, psychology, and trading plans. So I'll let you guys have a look at the dates there whilst I read the disclaimers. And then once I've done that, we'll crack on and have a look at the newsletter. Okay, so the following videos, clips, demonstrations are for educational and instructional purposes only. Tradewituf provides these videos purely for the purpose of demonstrating a method of using the products. Users understand that all content used in the video is purely for demonstration purposes only and is not a guide and does not provide any indication or prediction of actual results. As a user, you understand and agree that hypothetical results obtained through the demonstration do not indicate in any way the results you may receive on using our products. The following presentation is for educational purposes only. All the symbols and trading ideas discussed are for demonstrating and are not recommendations. Active options and futures trading carries a high degree of risk and may not be suitable for all traders. Past historical trading performance of real or simulated trading does not guarantee success and may not be indicative of future results. You Can Trade is an online media publication service which provides educational investment content and ideas along with live trading demonstrations and does not provide investment or trading advice, research or recommendations of any kind. Please visit www.youcantrade.com for additional disclosure information. Okay, right, now that we've done that, let's go and have a look at our newsletter. So this is what they look like, sent out every day. Like I said, to subscribe, just email us newsletter@tradewithufos.com. So what we go through in the newsletters mainly are the 4 major markets in the world. So we look at the S&P, which is obviously one of the major equity indices. We have oil and gold, which are both commodities, and we have the euro, which is obviously a currency. Now, with the euro, we're looking at the euro US dollar, spot Forex. That is the highest traded currency pair in the world, and Forex is the highest traded asset class in the world. The US dollar by itself is responsible for about 80% of all trading transactions every day. So we've covered a lot of what goes on in the markets out there. And even if you don't trade these specifically, what you trade will more likely be correlated to these markets. Now, you'll also notice we're going to be looking at a daily time frame, a daily chart of each of these markets, which should fall somewhere into what most people do. Again, you might not use the daily, but it is a common one to use. Now, for each of these markets, what we're going to be looking at and explaining is climate, which means in what direction is that market moving? Is it moving to the upside? Is it moving to the downside? You could call it trend or environment. We use the word climate to have us understand in what direction we're moving. Propagating, which is how long can we expect to keep going in that direction? We all know trends don't last forever. That's a very common phrase. The trend is your friend until the bend at the end. So this gives us an idea of how close we are to that bend in the end. We use the ᴾᴿᴱMARKET app, which is a technological app which highlights this for us and gives us these figures. We then look at the nearest UFOs. So the word UFO, or the acronym UFO, refers to unfilled orders. What we mean by unfilled orders is where we expect there to be buy orders that are waiting to push price up, or sell orders that are waiting to push price down. We use the ᴾᴿᴱ app to find this on the chart for us to show us where they could be these orders that could change the direction of price. What we're also going to do, we're going to come down and for each market understand volatility, which is basically how fast these markets are likely to move, before we come on and understand about news as well. Okay, so let's get started. So we'll look at the S&P. The symbol that we're using for the S&P there is SPX.X. So let's get that open. Okay, so SPX.X is the chart we have here. The ᴾᴿᴱMARKET app is on the bottom of the chart and it's showing us a thick blue dot. So being blue, that's telling us that we're in an upwards climate, and being thick tells us that we are in a confirmed upwards climate, which basically means we have more probabilities on our side to the long side in this case. If it was a red dot, then it would be a down climate. If it was a thin dot, then it would be unconfirmed. So it's four possibilities that we have. And in this case, we have a thick blue dot, so a confirmed upwards climate. Now, closest UFOs, closest stacks of orders that could turn price. Closest buy UFO is here, where we would expect there to be buy orders that could push price back up. That's 2955.45 to 2933.59. Then we have the closest stack of sell orders. Our sell UFO here, our red UFO is showing us those sell orders at 3373.23 to 3393.52. Again, that's the closest stack of sell orders that we expect to push price down. Okay, so we saw we had a confirmed upwards climate. We show you that here by the upwards green arrow on the climate. You'll see a little bit later on, when it's an unconfirmed climate, we put a little cross by it. In this case, obviously for the S&P, it is a confirmed climate, so there is no cross and simply an upwards green arrow to tell you what we mean there. Now, propagating. Just to make a point, I'm going to round up all of these numbers. So whatever the decimal place is, I'm always just going to round it up to that next round number. So what this shows us here on the propagating figures is that normally the S&P would go up for 11 candles in a row on a daily chart. So 11 days. And we're on day number 11, candle number 11. So we're coming to the end, or we are basically at the end of what is statistically likely for this market to go in that upwards direction. That's not to say it's going to turn today or tomorrow. Of course, we have things that can go outside of statistics, outside of what is average or normal, but it's all about putting probabilities in our favor. So bear in mind now that we've come to the end of that, we are losing probability that this market will continue to the upside, although we have probability because we have a confirmed upwards climate. Okay. And we saw with the UFOs that we're kind of floating in between there, no real big stacks of buy or sell orders that are going to be close to price, pushing price either way that we see at the moment. Okay, staying on the S&P, we're going to come down and understand volatility, how fast we could expect it to move. So volatility means how far we expect price to move within a given period of time. Now, we get the data for this based on the options of these markets. So options are traded by professional traders. And obviously with options, for those that may not know, there is a risk of being exercised or assigned, which is very much to do with how fast these markets moved. So if professional traders that are buying and selling the options and therefore setting the price of the options, obviously when they're doing that, they have in their mind the risk they're willing to take based on how fast they think these prices will move or how far they think these markets will move. So basically, the current implied volatility, which is the figures that we look at here, which is everything in this column, shows us what professional traders think in terms of the movement on these markets. So it gives us a professional opinion as to volatility. Now, as I said, everything in this column is current implied volatility. You'll see that it's all a percentage. So it's done based on annual percentages. So we got this figure from the VIX. For the S&P, we look at the VIX, VIX.X. That's what gave us this number here. So what this shows us is that we would expect a movement either up or down on the S&P in 1 year of 27.15%. Now, if we reverse engineer that, we can understand it on smaller timeframes. So in 1 day, we would expect a movement either up or down of 55 points. In 1 week, we would expect a movement up or down of 121.07 points. And in 1 month, wrong color there. In 1 month, we would expect a movement either up or down of 252.02 points. Again, just gives us an idea of how fast this market is likely to move. Okay, so moving on to the next market, we're looking at oil here. So that's at CL. So we'll go and take a look at that. That's here. Okay. Right, I'm just going to have to move the chart a bit here for us to see what we need to see. It will look a bit scrunched, but at least we'll see our UFOs. Okay. So once again, Auto Climate app on the bottom is showing us a thick blue dot, so a confirmed upwards climate. Now, our closest stack of buy orders, closest buy UFO is this one here. You'll see we've got two sets of numbers there and two flying saucers. So one on top of the other, they're quite nestled together. The top numbers are 25.87 to 25.36. That is the closest stack of buy orders as highlighted there by our buy UFO. Closest sell UFO or sell orders at 53.39 to 55.27. Okay, now as we can see, we're pretty much kind of like with the S&P there, we're pretty much in the middle. No close stacks of buy or sell orders to where we are right now, quite far away in either case. Okay, so like we said, we had a confirmed upwards climate. How long can we expect that to continue? So we would expect oil to go up for 7 candles on a daily chart, so 7 days, and we're on candle number 3, which means we're about halfway, coming up to halfway into what is usual and statistically likely for this market to go in this direction. So we have odds in our favor that the climate is likely to continue, as well as odds in our favor that it's a confirmed upwards climate. Although, like we said, we haven't really seen a lot of movement recently, and a lot of that could be to do with the fact that we don't really have stacks of buy or sell orders pushing it one way or the other. So it'd be interesting to see if we do get movement based on climate as opposed to UFOs. Okay. So understanding movement on oil, what we could expect in different periods of time. So to get the figures for oil, we use OVX.X. That's the chart symbol that we use. And we can see here that we would expect a movement up or down in 1 year on oil of 46.12%, which means in 1 day, we expect a movement up or down of 1.18 points. In 1 week, we expect a movement up or down of 2.59 points. And in 1 month, we would expect a movement up or down of 5.39 points. Okay, so let's come on and have a look at gold. That's the next market here. We're looking at GC, which is the continuous futures contract. When we looked at oil, we looked at the continuous futures contract for that too. So let's take a look at gold. I'm just going to open it up on a different tab here at GC. So I've got this ready to go. Okay, so this is the first climate that we don't see a thick blue dot. We see a thin red dot, which tells us being red, it's a downwards climate, but being thin means that it's unconfirmed. Now, it's interesting with gold because from about here, this entire movement to the upside, we ended up going on for 25 candles to the upside. We had confirmed climate up, confirmed climate up, confirmed climate up. And today is the first day that the climate has changed. So it'll be interesting to see if we change significantly and this signifies a move to the downside, or if we pause for a bit and maybe continue to the upside. So we'll see. So closest stack of buy orders as indicated by the Auto UFO app. We have our buy UFO here at 1668.3 to 1647.0. Closest sell orders here at 1863.6 to 1879.0. Okay, so like we said before, what we've been looking at for the last few weeks is just gold on a continuous move to the upside, but we are on the first candle now of a move to the downside. So what this shows us is that normally gold would go down for 7 candles on a daily chart, so 7 days, and we're on candle number 1. So it'll be interesting to see if we do change that climate completely over and continue with the propagating figures towards 7. But again, like we said, no very close UFOs that could turn it. So it'd be interesting to see what happens here with the unconfirmed climate. Bear in mind, yes, we have probability that the climate will continue to the downside because of the propagating, but we lose probability because of the unconfirmed nature of the climate. Okay. Alrighty, so coming down to understand movement on gold, we're looking at GVZ.X or GVZ.X. The annual numbers that we expect for that is a movement up or down in 1 year of 15.37%, which means a movement up or down in 1 day of 17.5 points, a movement up or down in 1 week of 38.5 points, and a movement up or down in 1 month of 80.1 points. Okay, let's just move on to the last market here, euro versus the US dollar. As we said, spot forex market, that's where we're getting these figures, highest traded currency pair in the world. Let's just go back here, euro US dollar. Okay, again, I'm just going to have to move this chart around a little bit so we can see what we need to see. Here we are. Okay, so we have a thick blue dot again, so a confirmed upwards climate. Closest stack of buy orders here, as highlighted by our buy UFO, at 1.1342 to 1.1255. Just rounded that to where it needs to be. Now we can actually see, if I scrunch this a little bit, we have multiple buy UFOs on top of each other. So as price has been moving up, it's just been forming new UFOs, pushing it to the upside. And they are doing what we expect them to do. We can't see very well because it's kind of clustered together. But this UFO here, that started there, was hit a few times, hit another few times, and moved up. This UFO then formed, hit a couple of times, and then moved up. This UFO formed, it's been hit, it's been hit there, and is moving up. So they're doing exactly what we expect them to do. We expect buy UFOs to push price back up if price reaches it, and that's what we've seen multiple times here on the euro dollar. Now, in terms of closest sell orders, closest one we have is up here, sell UFO at 1.1740 to 1.1816. Again, just rounded that to the pip. Okay, so how long can we expect the market to continue to go up? Now, it's interesting here because we have, of course, surpassed the probabilities, surpassed what is statistically likely here for this market. Because normally the euro US dollar would go up for 4 days, and we've been going up for 10 days, or 10 candles on a daily chart, which obviously would suggest that we're very overextended to the upside. We're way past what is statistically likely to happen. That doesn't mean we won't keep breaking that. We saw that with gold in the last couple of weeks. We could continue to break those statistics and break what it is telling us should happen. We do have a confirmed upwards climate, and we have loads of buy UFOs beneath us. However, do bear in mind that the longer we go past what is statistically average, the less likely it is to continue to do that. The longer we do one thing, the less likely it is to continue to do that. If you pull an elastic band, the more you pull it, the more likely it is to contract back onto itself. So, like we said before, we have probabilities on this side with a confirmed climate, but we are losing probabilities when it comes to propagating. Okay. So movement on the euro in terms of volatility, what we expect, we are looking at EVZ.X or EVZ.X. We would expect a movement up or down in 1 year of 6.38%. Movement up or down in 1 day of 46 pips. Movement up or down, oh, sorry, did that weird there. Up or down in 1 week of 101 pips. And a movement up or down in 1 month of 210 pips. So again, these figures just give us an idea of how fast these markets are likely to move based on professional options traders' opinion. The climate and propagating gives us an idea of if they're going to move by that much, in what direction are they likely to move by and for how long. And then the UFOs give us an idea of where price could turn and we could see a change in climate. Okay, so let's just come down and understand another force that could impact the markets here. Okay, so today being Friday, this is the news that's coming out that has high impact news on US markets. It will come out at 9 a.m. Eastern, and that's the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index. Okay, so that's coming out at 9 a.m. Eastern, which could have an impact on the markets. Now, bear in mind that, of course, news is an indirect force. The most direct forces on whether or not price goes up or down is to do with buy and sell orders. That's it. Now, of course, news can create big stacks of buy or sell orders. So we do need to be aware of it and obviously be aware when it comes out and the level of impact that it's going to have, and add it to our trade plans as we think, as we see fit, as we think makes sense. Now, you'll notice, obviously, in these columns here, we've got some figures filled in. That's because the data has already come out. We knew what actually happened. That's because it happened yesterday and on Tuesday. For today, it's empty, and that's because obviously it hasn't come out yet. It comes out at 9 a.m. Okay, so once that figure's filled in, you'll see it on the FX Street website. It will fill in there. So just to point this out, we are using fxstreet.com/economic-calendar, and we filtered by high impact news on US markets. So if you trade outside of those parameters, you can go to that website, play about with the filters there to see maybe markets from other parts of the world, or impact that has maybe lesser impact than the highest. And again, use it in your trade plan as makes the most sense to you. Okay, so a couple of reminders before we sign off. So first of all, if you're not already part of the fun, you can join us in our sessions. We do 10 sessions a week. You can join us over the weekend, 1 session each day on the weekend, and 2 sessions during the week. So it must be 12 then, if I've done my maths right. You can join us at www.tradewithufos.com/you-can-trade. It's a 14-day free access trial period. So you can try us out for a couple of weeks, see if it makes sense first before doing anything further if you want to. As we've said before, the next upcoming class we have is the backtesting course, which I will be starting as of tomorrow. So hopefully we'll see you guys there. What backtesting does is allow us to take strategies, apply it to the past so that we can efficiently test things before we go live with it and save ourselves time and potentially money as well. So I cover that over the weekend, starts 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Just to say as well, you can register for any course and choose an additional course for free. So you can go to the website to play about with it so you can get the right offer there, or get the right combination on that offer, because the second class you pick has to be of equal or lesser value. So go to the website, play about with it, and make sure you can get the best deal from that. If you have questions on anything, as always, just email us support@tradewithufos.com. We're happy to help. Otherwise, have a good Friday, guys. We'll see you in the options and future sessions today at 4:15 p.m. Eastern. My colleague Boyan will be coming back to look at what did happen in the markets, what went as expected, what can we learn from what happened today. Otherwise, have a brilliant weekend, and I'll see you guys